Hey there, my name's Joe, and you're watching Bourbon Battles. Hey, do you like double oaked whiskey? Well, here's two great double oaked whiskeys, Jim Beam and Old Forester 1910. We're going to battle them blind coming up next.
And now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Okay, so now you know what I'm getting ready to drink, right? And I have no idea. People sometimes ask me, hey, Joe, do you really not know what you're drinking? Do you really do it blind? Of course we really do it blind. I don't want to know what I'm drinking. I don't care. Like the last one I filmed was an Old Fitz decanter, which I probably would have told you is one of my favorite whiskeys in the world. Now, granted, those have 2 releases every year, and they're wildly drastic, and I think this one was wildly drastic than ones I've had in the past, different ages and things. I didn't want Maker's Mark 101 to beat that, because I want to go out and buy some more Old Fitz decanters, right? I want to own those. Now I have to think to myself, should I go buy an Old Fitz decanter, or should I just get a $30 bottle of Maker's Mark 101? So no, I don't want to know what we're drinking, right? It's very intentional that it is blind. I have no dog in this fight. I have not received a single dollar from any distillery ever to pay me to say their whiskey's good. So I don't care if a very popular whiskey gets beat by an unpopular whiskey or vice versa. It's cool with me. I don't care. I just like good whiskey. I want to know what's good and what tastes good. That's why we say it all the time. We don't give a rat's ass what's on the label. We just like good whiskey, and that's true. I just want to know what's good. So let's get into the drawer over here and pick a blind whiskey for today, which you already know what we have. So cool. I have no clue, right? Let's check these out. I always have to make sure to do these backwards, because I think on the last video with the Old Fitz, I said I was doing them backwards, but I did them right ways for me. So it's confusing sometimes. So number 1, going into the Sobro Glencairns. If you don't know about Sobro Spirits, it's in Broad Ripple, Indiana, which is Indianapolis, Indiana. Really cool liquor store, great store picks. Make sure you tell them Bourbon Battle sent you. So right off the gate, number 2 here, I'm going to say it's much darker in color. I don't know if that means it's richer. It's way, 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 way darker. So if I had to make an assumption right out of the gate, I'm going to say that I would pick number 2 hands down as my favorite. I haven't even smelled them or tasted them yet. That's just going by the visual alone. So we're going to get into these. And as I start to get into these, I want to tell you about the Stave and Thief Society. I won't harp on it very long, but Stave and Thief Society has educational classes you can take online. They have an executive bourbon steward class that I encourage you to look at. And with the discount code you see on your screen here, you get 15% off that. So check that out. Just check it out and let me know what you think. Oh, wow. The nose on number 1 is fantastic. That's one of those. Oh, the nose on number 2 is fantastic. So these are the type of whiskeys that I would spend as much time nosing as I would tasting. Number 2. The nose on number 2 is going to take the win if we're judging it by the nose. We don't. We judge it on everything. Okay, that's pretty good. Number 1 leaves a little bit to be desired on the finish, I'd say. Yeah, it's not bad. I like it. Let's check out number 2 here. Oh, the nose on number 2 is fantastic. Oh, caramel, sweetness. Oh, it's so good. This one is so easy to pick. So these go back here. Whoa. That just probably closed the gap a little bit, that last little sip here. So these go very intentionally together, right? When I choose these, I sit down and do 10 or 15 or however many I do, right? They don't always make it to a show when we review them, and I tell you why. So I had Steven from Monk's Road Distillery here not long ago, and we did a blind, and it never made an episode because I accidentally deleted it. I do shit like that all the time, right? Knucklehead. And sometimes, you know, I'll have a bunch of stuff over there, and somebody will come over to the studio just to sit around and chit chat, and I'll say, "Yeah, grab something out of the barrel, let's do it." You know, and I have the intentions of putting them right back in, but sometimes they don't make it right back in all the time. So number one, bridge that gap a little bit with that last little sip. Let's see if it was enough to take the lead. It's good. But anyway, what I was getting at was these are very intentionally paired together, right? Like the last one we did was that Old Fitz decanter against Maker's Mark 101, right? 100 proof, 101 proof, wheated mash bills, really close on the mash bill. Now, in that particular one, the age was drastically different, right? But you see the similarities we try to find, right? High proof stuff, like, you know, not too long ago we did like, we've done George T. Stagg and Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. Jack Daniel's single barrel proof against 1792 full proof, right? Try to keep things somewhat similar. And a lot of times we like to pick on things like Blanton's against Evan Williams, small batch against, Evan Williams bottled and bond, Elijah Craig small batch, different things, right? We like to pick on the big boys, right? Because they can take it. These are both good. They're both unique. Number two, Sweeted. I'm going to say that one of these is a lot better. Before I went back to number one again, I would have said it's not even close, which is a blowout. And I don't think I've ever had a blowout. So let's see. As I open this, I'm going to get the bottles down for you. Okay, you guys already know, of course, but we've got Old Forester 1910, which is Old Forester's double oaked at 93 proof. And we've got Jim Beam Double Oak, which is Jim Beam's double oak version at 86 proof. So let's get into what I picked and why. I did not pick the Jim Beam. I'm a little surprised that it didn't do a little bit better. I've actually had this beat the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, so that doesn't really surprise me. The 1910 is one of my favorite double oaked whiskeys. As you can see, this is one of my daily drink sippers. It goes right over here. It means I come to it a lot. So the Jim Beam Double Oaked is 4 years old, obviously coming out of the Jim Beam Distillery down there in Claremont, Kentucky. If you've never had a chance to go to Jim Beam in Claremont, it's an amazing place to go. It's one of my favorite distilleries. We did the self-guided tour. Highly, highly recommend that. You get to try some stuff. Cool gift shop. I've never really had a lot of success at the Jim Beam gift shop and popping in and getting like the new Bookers or the new whatever it might be, right? But Jim Beam Double Oak, good expression. You talk about cheap. 75 corn, 13 rye, 12 malted barley. I think this is a sub $20 bottle for double oaked expression. It don't get much better than that. And for that reason, I say this is something that you and everybody should have on their home bar. So check that out. Let me know what you think if you had Jim Beam Double Oak. Now, Old Forester 1910 will appear on everybody's favorites list, right? You see it every time. 93 proof. It's non-age stated, but we think it's probably less than 5 years old. So probably real similar ages. Old Forester does things a little bit differently, the way they age stuff and the way they rotate stock in their warehouses. So it's pretty cool. 72 corn, 18 rye, 10% malted barley. So very similar mash bills, right? Old Forester's made by Brown-Forman or owned by Brown-Forman. Old Forester's located downtown Louisville, Kentucky, right there on Whiskey Row on Main Street. If you've never had a chance to go there, highly, highly recommend it. I have gotten lucky there and got birthday bourbon on the shelf there. So, yeah, how about that for cool? So I'm not surprised with this. If you don't have an Old Forester 1910, it's probably 2 times or better the price of the Jim Beam Double Oak. But this is a staple for everybody's shelf. This is a 375 that came with an 1897 and 1920, all fantastic. So if you see one of those little 3-pack samplers, I highly recommend those if you can get your hands on that. So, hey, this is why we do it. This is fun. This is interesting. Love the Jim Beam. I didn't pick up the Jim Beam nuttiness in this, which surprises me. I will now that I know. Yeah, sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. So, hey, drinking bourbon is supposed to be fun. Do it with your friends, do it responsibly. But whatever you do, don't drink and drive. See you next time.
If you drink, don't drive to the watermelon crawl.